As quickly as you can, snatch the pebbles from my hand. When you take the pebbles from my hand, it will be time for you to leave.
I think, first of all, it's always amazing to be a trailblazer, to be a trendsetter, to be a something. You know, being the only one is not a bad thing. You know, being in a part of a small group is not a bad thing either. You know, you develop a lot thicker skin because of all the extra adversity that you go through. But you know what? It doesn't hinder you. It makes you stronger. You know what I'm saying? You know, if there's no one like you there, go be that person.
Okay, I'm not gonna waste no time. You just heard her voice. She get ready for an amazing episode with the homie Brittney Cloudy. Just sit back, grab the popcorn, your seafood for the get this thing cracking. Another self-promotion time. Go tell a friend and tell a friend. Join the community in the Last Dragon. We definitely bring in some amazing content on this episode. So now let's get into some martial arts. All right, welcome back, my people. Another great episode coming your way. Your host Roy Robb, your seafood for today. We have an excellent one coming for you. Into the Last Dragon has a special guest coming all the way out on the West Coast. A beautiful young lady doing her thing on the mixed martial arts side. I would like to introduce to you for the first, but definitely not going to be the last, Miss Brittney Cloudy. What's good?
Oh, hey. Man, what's up? Thanks for having me.
No doubt. So what's up, man? Hey, look, first question and number one. What do they call you when it comes to that fight game? What's your name? What's that moniker that everybody says? What's your fight name?
My fight name is The Quiet Storm.
The Quiet Storm. Okay. Tell us about The Quiet Storm. Who's The Quiet Storm and who gave you that name?
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it. I think I talk a lot to my friend about it because I think she knows me the best. That it kind of fits my personality. I'm pretty quiet and pretty shy, but then at the same time, you know, I have a whole nother switch that I can switch to. So
I feel that.
Things more just, you know, coming with it with the action.
I feel that. Hey, that's the big deal, right? That's a big deal. So let my people know. So what weight do you fight out of? And tell us your gym.
I am a flyweight. I fight at 125, and I'm training and fighting out of Team Oyama here in Irvine, California.
Amazing. And how long have you been a part of that team? And where'd you get your start?
Well, it's been about 6 months since I've been training here at Team Oyama. I moved here back in June. And before I moved here, I started my MMA career at St. Charles MMA.
Hey.
So, you know, that's always home.
Right. So you now have been training in mixed martial arts. How long now?
I'll say about 5 years now.
5 years? And is there a reason? Like, how did you end up in the place you are now? Like, just to do a rewind, have you always been in the sports, or just kind of tell us, like, where did all this come from?
Oh man, I've been in sports since I was younger. It did not start with MMA, and I'll say when I was like around 9, I started playing basketball, and I couldn't have never thought that I would be doing any type of combative sports. But at that time, basketball was my love, and I played basketball growing up all the way into high school. I also ran track, and track was my thing. I did long.
Oh, you got wheels? You was fast? What'd you run in track?
I did some short sprints, but my bread and butter were the long and triple jumps. So
okay. All right.
I got some explosiveness with me, you know.
Yeah, you got long and triple jump is no joke. Like I just even the technique. The triple jump is already like 10 times hard. Oh my God, like I've seen it. Like knowing what track runners have to deal with. God, that's just tough. Anyway, I'm sorry for jumping off there. That's just a big deal by itself. So did you do that all throughout high school? You did track and basketball?
Yes. And then then I went to St. Louis University and I ran track there, and I did jumps too. So that was like my first breakup with one of the sports. So I left basketball behind then. I decided to, pursue track, and I did that all 4 years, and I accomplished some pretty great things while I was there. Picked up some accolades along the way.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
What'd you study?
wow.
What'd you study at SLU? What did you study at SLU?
I did got my degree in elementary education. So
Awesome.
after college, I went on to teach elementary school. Taught third grade for a few years. I started in St. Louis Public Schools, and then I moved on into Kirkwood schools in the Kirkwood School District, and I taught first grade there. So,
Wow. So
yeah.
so wait, this definitely doesn't seem like the traditional. So you went from high school basketball and track, and then you went to education. How on earth did you end up in mixed martial arts and Brazil or kickboxing, whatever? How did this happen? How did you end up at the school?
Well, it's funny because I listened to your last podcast with Charles Johnson, and he was the one who really got me into it. We both started off in track, and so we had that connection with track. And then after I decided to leave track, I was already going to a lot of his MMA fights, and I like
Yeah.
learning about things through him. After I was on the track, I was like, what, I want to try this out. And so from there, it was a slippery slope. I was like, I want to try this. Then I was like, it's like, I want to fight too.
Shout out to CJ over in Thailand doing his thing. That's my guy. Good dude, man. Oh my God, that's my partner. All right, so CJ is the reason that you got introduced to a new love in life. Then is that right?
He exposed me to this whole world of combative sports. So going to fights and watching and learning from the spectator side of it. So I always been a competitive person. So
Yeah.
after that, I was like, I didn't go into it thinking I was gonna like just be an MMA fighter. I was like, I want to try it. I want to just learn it because I thrive on. I like technical sports. So like the triple jump, it was a thing that required a lot of technique and coordination. And then when I got into jujitsu, I realized, man, this is a mental sport. This requires intellect and not only just physical attributes. So I really liked that about the sport. And then from there on, it was just like, give me more, give me more. So
Hey, that's
yeah,
a nugget. She just showed you a big nugget about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. She said this is a straight intellectual sport, which is a fact. Oh my gosh. Like you will realize that as you begin to progress. If someone who's new or never tried to get on the mats, it's a lot, it's more than size. It's a lot of parts to Jiu Jitsu. It's just so mental. Great point. Great point. Excellent point. So now, are you, as far as your training, are you kind of at that stage where it's just like, I have new goals in mind? Like, tell us that. Like, you get started and it's like, boom. How did you know you wanted to fight? Like, where did that come from? Because it's different saying I want to work out or try it, you know?
yeah.
So,
I think that and I think that everything happens for a reason because what I got from the other sports, the speed, the agility, the strength, and just things that were natural to me kind of fell right into place when it came to the sport. It came to like really learning and understanding the sport, then allowing my physical abilities to shine through. So once I was able to like really wrap my head around like this new way of movement, this is a wholly different vibe when it comes to like, it's just me, it's individual. So getting into that.
do you have a favorite? Like I know with doing mixed martial arts, there's like so many different things. For new listeners with mixed martial arts, you have all types of fighting styles, origination of every martial arts, I would assume, has finally tried to compete on the highest level of professional fighting, which has been UFC. So every type of art has been included, but primarily individuals will try some type of stand up as well as ground fighting. What styles have you traditionally like leaned on for your style for your fighting, and what have you trained through the multiple 5 or 6 years you've been training now, other than Brazilian Jiu Jitsu that you just named for ground fighting?
Right. Yeah, because that was the first one that I started. Then the next little puddle I got into was boxing, and I think that's where I was like, okay, I think I might be good at this because I realized that like the strength that I have in my legs from jumping, when I can use my hips the right way, I can really throw a punch. Oh, okay. Now, what used to feel like a something that wasn't a prized possession of mine becomes a really strong attribute, which is how long I am and how tall I am. And so that makes me a special kind of fighter.
Right.
And strong and fast at the same time.
Right. And then you're fighting flyweight. Flyweight that's like, is that number one? Is that the first lowest class for the female division?
No, the lowest is right now is atom weight. However, they do not have atom weight at the UFC yet. So, but they have the lowest in the UFC is 115. But there are some promotions to have female fighters at 105.
Oh wow, I'm shocked. What do you normally walk around at?
Usually I walk around between like some 143, 145 around there.
Okay, maybe. I got you.
If I'm being good, you know.
I got you. So then you got boxing, stand up. You tried that, and you had some. I'm assuming you competed, right? You had a couple boxing matches, amateur.
Yeah, I did Golden Gloves in 2016. I won Golden Gloves, and that was that was my first boxing match.
What?
It was just, yeah. And so this kind of goes into like the female fighting scene. It was just two of us. And so, so I did that as my like boxing debut, Golden Gloves. And then I had another boxing match after that too.
Good for you. So you did boxing, you've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What other styles are you training in or have that has elevated your game?
After the boxing, I started to try to, work on the kicking part. So I did. I had a couple kickboxing matches as well, and I did do some jiu-jitsu tournaments and no-gi tournaments as well. I did all of those things before I took an MMA fight. Just to like a slow progression into mixing it all together.
Do you feel like that was a smart move to do it like that?
Yeah, for me, it's like, I think that having the experience of being able to focus on a particular aspect of mixed martial arts in isolation can, help with that competitive piece and with the technical piece going into competitions, This is different in each arena. Like kickboxing is different than MMA. You don't have to worry about takedowns in kickboxing. So you can actually really work on just the stand-ups and all the different technical pieces that come with it.
Right.
And then because when MMA comes along, then now you have to also worry about that and worry about defending takedowns and jiu-jitsu. It just the pond becomes a lake.
Right.
Different types of attacks that you need to defend from, and also arsenal in your toolbox.
So all of this is going on when you were here living in St. Louis or St. Charles or St. Louis. They're close, right next to each other. You were living in Missouri. You were doing all this training, but then you were also doing something else full time. I assume when you graduated, you were working as a professor, a teacher. Like you were saying, you were doing all this at the same time, right?
Right. So
how difficult is that? Talk about that. How difficult is that?
I mean, it was very difficult teaching full time, and teaching this concept that I've always heard people say, you just sit down at a desk. Well, one, no. Two is more of like just the mental energy that you have throughout your workday, than coming into the gym to do something that could be physical. However, with the sport, it's not just physical, it's also very mental too. Yeah. So for me, the challenge was that, like, even if I was physically up to it, I still have to mentally find a way to recharge my mind, to like literally flip a switch and have a whole nother vibe and aura when I come into the gym, so just that energy out into the two different lifestyles can be exhausting, but it keeps you going. Now,
you were like, it's I feel like it's a handful of women I'm not just saying it, but it's like a fact. There's a lot of guys, a lot of people who are wrestlers who have joined and they've done the mixed martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I feel like the growth of female fighters is, thank God, going up. You know what I mean? Like I feel there's more, but like you just said, like it was only a couple competitors sometimes. How does that play a role into your training, being able to do better and be better?
Oh man, that's a huge thing. And if you are any female that came from, a sport where it was a lot of females and you walked into this world, it's a rude awakening because, it's a male predominant sport in the
Right.
sense, especially just being at the gym when most of my training partners are guys. But coming from like just a athletic background, I've been used to that, in a way. And it definitely has its challenges because especially when it comes to kind of getting a measurement of how you're progressing in the sport, it's hard because when you train with mostly guys and there's always this physical difference between a woman and a man,
Right.
even aside from the weight, but then also just having the limited females around you to also be a body to train with to measure your growth sometimes can be
Right.
hard. So I found that's something I had to like kind of process within myself on how do I measure my growth.
Right. Right.
Because when you have those moments where you actually get to perform and compete, and those are times where you get to test that and see where you are. But then sometimes, especially coming from track, when I went from competing every week, and that doesn't happen in fighting. So it's like
Yeah.
months between it goes. So that piece of just having that part of, well, here's where I get to perform to see how I'm doing, see how I'm progressing, because there's so much to learn overall. There's so many different technical aspects, and that's why I did do those individual events in between, like doing some kickboxing matches, doing some jiu-jitsu tournaments, and doing some boxing, because you can get those in between those MMA events, the
So
MMA fights.
so now is the question, like, so you're doing all this. When did you decide, okay, I'm gonna try to do this? I'm assuming you said, okay, I've learned so much. Now I'm gonna do my first amateur fight. What year was that? When did that happen?
Well, it was 2016.
2016. And how many fights did you have as an amateur?
I had 8. Yeah, 8 amateur MMA fights. So I realized that it was time to like go pro when I ran out of people to fight in the area.
That's what I was about to ask. Like, how did you know? Like, how did you know it was time? Like, that's a big deal. That's a big question.
Yeah, I always thought about like there's
Calling
like
back?
huh there's
No,
these
I was
like,
saying, was no one calling back? Like, what happened?
well, it was just like unless I travel all the way over to this side of the country, like I fought in these promotions locally in the Midwest and fought the women who were in my weight class, and at the time there's only so many of us, and over
Yeah.
the years it definitely has grown so much. But in every amateur fight I had, there was like a lesson that I learned, that helped pour into that pot of experience. And even getting to my first pro fight, there's still this feeling of like, you feel ready for it. Part of me feels like, a lot of times, there's sometimes you can't think like that,
Yeah.
feel,
Yeah.
or because first of all, when the cage closes, anything can happen. Everything that
Right.
you've seen and done, there's nothing that you can really do to say that this is what's going to happen. You just have to go in there and you're going to have to, create that art. And
Yeah.
so I had my experiences through my amateur career. I've had my losses. I've had what it feels like to, be hit really hard and be on the other side of success too. And I also feel like that is a strong component going into just the sport as well. Like being able to also know what it feels like to not be triumphant and still come back stronger and go back into the gym and still work on those things that need to be addressed.
That's so real. Like, how many times people will just say, "Oh, I'm done. I give up," versus being like, "Okay, I've made the I've not necessarily made a mistake. It's just one of those things. Even if you're taking a loss, it's one of those things where how do you get better from it, right? Like everything in life is experiences. How do you get better from the experience you had? That's amazing. Now, I'm assuming you had how many fights before you left the area? How many professional fights did you have here?
I had one.
One professional. And what made you transition from here to where you're at now? Was it some special circumstance? Like what happened with that? How did you end up across the US? Like what happened there?
I think that it was like one of those things where everything was starting to fall into place. And at that time, I had left St. Louis public schools, and then I was trying to give myself more time for training, and so I worked as a TA instead of full time. And but then, of course, financially, that's hard too, because then you're like, okay, something always has to give.
Right.
So making that sacrifice with that. In the meantime, I was also finishing my master's in my master's in counseling, and so I was thinking to myself, like, here I am finishing another degree. I've been in St. Louis all my life. I've always wanted to live elsewhere. You know, I always wanted to travel. And I just felt like in a time where I was finishing my degree, I finished my first pro fight, and I was teaching, and I was also getting older too. And I was like, man, I felt like I was kind of running out of this time of like, if something was going to happen, it needs to happen now. Or
Right.
the longer I stayed, I was going to become more comfortable, because being in the career field of education, you know, you're talking about retirements, you're talking about, you know, owning a home. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. You know, I'm feeling like I there's still something I need to do. And I just made that moment to like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to, you know, bite down and take this risk and go pursue this, because I feel like my window for athletics, you know, was this big versus, you know, teaching and all the other stuff. I can always come back to that.
Right.
And this is on the bucket list. I always wanted to live elsewhere. I didn't go to college out of the state. I stayed local, and I love St. Louis, but I like the warmth.
Hey, facts. Hey, look, I'm sure it is wonderful right there. What is the weather like right now? What is it?
Well, it's about like mid 60s, and it's December. I have my toes out right now.
You living? Oh my God, mid 60s is amazing. Like, is that cold? That's considered cold.
I'm cold. I was like, oh man, I got a space heater on. I'm like, it's nippy.
Oh my God, that is comedy. Okay, so you how did you pick your school? Like, how did that happen? Did that gym say, "Oh, I want you"? Did you get recruited? Tell us that progression as well.
I mean, I have to give a lot of props to Charles CJ, because, you know, he was a part of this process with me, because we were both, you know, talking about, you know, where we wanted to go, and you know, where we saw ourselves and what we wanted to do with our lives. And let's see, the summer before actually moving, he had actually took a trip here, and he came and visit Team Oyama, because he's managed under the manager who's in this area, who also manages a lot of fighters here.
Okay.
So here, and he trained, and he came back with nothing but great things to say about it. Like, you know, that he loved the area, that he loved the whole vibe and everything. And I was like, okay, I like this. It's
Yeah.
West Coast. Let me, you know, what's the weather like? I start tracking the weather all year round. Oh, and I was like, what is it like in December? So
Oh man.
like, okay, you know what? And I was like, you know what? Let me first go and visit myself, and let me see. And so spring break, I came here to visit, check it all out, and I was like, I like this. I love this. This is nice. I was like, I can do this, you know. So made it happen. Started saving. I was like, all right, do it. If you have an idea, a plan, you want something to happen, plan for it. You can make, whatever vision you would have a reality. You just you see it, you plan, believe it, stick with it, and it'll come to fruition.
That's amazing. That is amazing times 10. So you've been out there how long now? How long have you been at that gym again? I'm sorry. You told me earlier.
Months now.
6 months. All right. So you get out there. It's a whole new world. What was the biggest fear that you now like, whew, I'm over that. What was the scariest moment before doing this big new transition?
Literally, turning in my contract to turn in my letter of resignation to my principal, because that was the hardest thing, because I finally got to the school. Shout out to North Glendale. I love my coworkers.
Say that school name again one more time.
North Glendale and Kirkwood.
North Glendale. All right.
I got to a place where I really loved my work environment, and I loved what I was doing, and I loved the people that I was working with. And I was like, I could retire here. Like, I really felt like that. And so that was hard to, especially it's competitive in that district to get a job there. And then I got a good position, a great team, to like leave that and say, hey, I want to pursue this something else that I'm really passionate about. That was really hard, but man, did they give me love and support me through that, still support me through my endeavors. So that was really hard. But of course, also leaving my friends and family, that was hard too. But when the people support you, they see your vision too, and they'll love you for it, and they'll support you no matter where you go.
That's so true. That's so true. Oh my gosh, that's so real. Like, you have this dream. I'm y'all just don't know I'm living through y'all. You just don't understand. Like, I used to box as well. I won Golden Gloves. 2003 Golden Gloves, a Springfield Housing Authority. I won in St. Louis. We fought at the Ambassador. That's how old. That's old as hell, right?
Oh, the Ambassador.
Yes, we fought at the Ambassador. Super old, but trust me, I'm living through y'all. That's amazing. Like, the excitement is just unbelievable to be like, okay, this person's really going after it. Brittney, you're going after it. Like, it's like literally you see it, and you're getting the clarification. Like, you know what? I see. That's where I want to be, and I'm going it, and you're getting it. Like, that's, oh my gosh. So now it's time to talk competition. How is it out there? Like, that's a whole nother animal. It's a lot of fighters out there. Let's talk that game. It's more competition, more fighters. Tell us about that.
Oh man, where to begin? The first thing I like to say about being here is the diversity. I'm here and I'm around all these different people from different countries, speaking different languages. But we're all here for one reason. And
right.
That life alone right now connects us. And it's like almost like instant family feeling, family vibe, like we're here for this grind. We support each other because we need each other, and Coach Ayama, our head coach here, he's been doing this for a while, and that he's a very caring coach, man. He's really hard too, but he knows exactly what we need to be successful, and he puts us through it. And we train twice a day, 4 days a week. And another day on Saturday, we have a track day, and then we spar. And so I know that, like, I'm getting more work than I've had before. I have to be able to just purely focus on getting better. And the last thing that I have not mentioned, a part of the mixed martial arts, is wrestling.
All right.
So love, like, it's the last thing that I've like focused on, but I'm definitely getting it here now, and it's coming along.
You changing your levels? Like, look, you got to change the levels. That's so hard. That was hard for me, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Part being so tall.
So tall.
having to make myself be small.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
like the complete opposite of what my body wants to do, because for so many years, triple jump is me making my body long and
Oh,
taking long, drastic steps. Now,
right,
short, compact, use that explosion and explosiveness in a compact way. And
right, right, right.
but realizing that, once again, it's just something else that is a mental thing, because no matter how I try to like look at it and use some excuse to be like, well, my legs are too long and that person's too short or whatever, there's all like that don't matter,
It don't matter. Oh my God! Like I'm just like literally remembering. Like, so it was just such a big deal because we were around wrestlers. Like, I mean, we had some elite wrestlers that came through SEMMA, and like you saw it, you know it. You know what I mean? You were going against a bunch of guys that were wrestlers, and now you go out there, and now they like, I need you to wrestle even more.
Yeah,
That's intense.
yeah. So I feel like, man, like even with like St. Charles, man, we wrestled a lot. I
Yeah.
remember a Court, man. Court was a dude, man. He was like, man, we wrestled. We would look at each other like, bruh, like,
Shout out to
all we
Court.
do is wrestle.
Shout out
But
to Court. I need to hit him up. Shout out to Court, man. Doing his thing out there with Luis. Shout out to Court. My bad. Had to say that too.
but you know what? I appreciate that so much now. All that wrestling. I'm like, man, it's because it's like it is like a wrestling sport. It seems. There's a lot of fighters who have wrestler backgrounds, and not having wrestling is not a good thing. So
It's not right.
working on that aspect of my game, and that's coming. That's you know,
All
it,
right.
because
All right.
I mean St. Charles MMA, jiu-jitsu is real. So
Yeah.
I definitely got that. So working on that middle piece and putting it all together, it's a process.
Do you have a favorite strike or favorite stand up move or punch? Like I heard boxing. It seemed like you love like it seemed like you like to punch people. But but tell me what's your favorite? What's the thing that it's your is it the 1-2? Is it the 1-2-3 combo? A roundhouse kick? What's your thing when it comes to stand up?
This little hashtag that goes around, hashtag knees build characters.
Oh my God, you Muay Thai knee girl. Oh my God.
I mean, when you think about it, like, I mean, I love to punch, but I got to use what I have, right? And
Strong legs, I no doubt. Triple
and
jump.
triple jump. That's all I did was pick my knee up.
Yes,
So
yeah.
the knees come easy, and most of the time my opponents are a lot shorter than me, and my knee comes up to their face. So
Oh yeah.
those like
Why not?
I've been falling in love with the knees.
That's good. That's good. All right. So now let's see. Have you already got anything lined up? You have a fight already? What's next?
Yep. Well, actually, what's today? Sunday. A week from today, I will be fighting on King of the Cage in Ontario, California. So I'm currently right now at the beginning of fight week here and preparing for that.
This is
So
major. Oh my God. Like you have you been in cut mode? Like how much you weighing in right now? Like, oh my God, this is big
I just
deal.
back from a run before you messaged me. Oh, that whole weight cut woes. Oh man.
That's what, hey, look, I just had a whole, have you heard our last episode with Charles?
Yeah.
We
Let's
talked
talk
about
weight cut.
yes. Oh my freaking God. Hey, listen, when I say he was like, and the ladies have it so hard. Oh my God. Weight cut, weight cut, weight cut. Ooh. Okay, let's go into it. Let's go.
Part of my soul wants to just, unite the whole MMA world and let's go protest. Let's just make this worldwide so that, we can just take this unnecessary stress off of our back. Because this is, I mean, I since I didn't, come from a wrestling background, but I hear that's like the whole wrestling thing is that whole cutting weight and everything, and that kind of just trickles over into MMA and with that philosophy of I'm just gonna cut down, whatnot. But it's just it like I listened to what he said. It is definitely a process as far as weight cutting. And there's knowledge to be learned to have of it, from nutrition. That's, your dieting.
Yeah.
The way to do it is, to diet, have good nutrition.
What are you eating? What's your normal? Is it the same meals, and then they like kind of go through that progression on even food wise? What are you doing? Like what you have today?
Yeah, well, shout out to my lovely weight nutritionist, gut uppercut, Terry Howell. She's based out of St. Louis now. She works.
Hey.
She works with female fighters with just this.
So say her info one more time, because we need to let people know about this. That's a big deal. So who is this? Who is this?
Her Instagram is gut uppercut. Her name's Terry Howell. She's worked with many female fighters across the country in the MMA world. She's worked with me on my last two. Well, yeah, my last fight and my first pro fight as well. Awesome.
That's amazing.
My last weight cut was awesome. I actually came in underweight. That was by accident. It shouldn't have happened, but I feel great. I came back and I was refueled, and
That's amazing. Excellent time to push somebody. I need to hit her up and tell her, hey, I want to put your info all over my podcast. That's amazing. Okay, so she's the person that's got you right. And then what meals has she put you on?
Well, it's the knowledge of like, what should I be eating? Thinking about my calorie intakes, my sodium levels, and all that stuff like that. And so, just making sure that I'm getting like how much carbs I need, the amount of protein that I need in a day, my fruit servings. Also combining it with how much am I training, the intensity with my training, like adapting it to me in my body. What's the rate of how I'm losing the weight, and her whole helping me through the weight cut. How I've learned so much with how to improve my weight cut so that I'm not depleted.
Yeah.
Extended period of times, because that's where you see a lot of complications with people doing weight cuts. They're dehydrated for too long.
Yeah, like they're lagging. Like you could tell so many people are just so weak. You can tell they've cut. I don't know if they've cut too much, but it's almost like they're exhausted. They're not even the same person.
Yeah. So there's so much that goes into it. So, and even like just the female aspect of it, because just like with our hormones levels and things like that throughout the months, and how it changes our bodies as our weight goes down, that also plays a big role. Like, it's insane. Like,
wow.
I'm like, less petition. In reality, like, if there were rules like how California has laws to where you have to weigh in the same day, you can't be over a certain weight to make sure that you haven't depleted too much, over a period.
Yeah.
People cut 20 and 30 pounds, and then you get in there and you're fighting someone who weighs 30 pounds more than the contract weight. And you're like,
that's
wait.
Crazy.
And so you have that issue. So, but then it becomes that thing where everyone's doing it because no one wants to go into a fight with that person who's cutting all that weight down.
That's crazy. Because you get to water up, right? Like after you do your weigh-in, right? So that is crazy.
Yeah, we have a day to
hydrate
the day before, and so then the fight's usually the next day. So you have a little over 24 hours to refuel yourself. But I just say, imagine what the sport would be like if people didn't have to worry about that, and you had athletes and fighters out there fighting, with everything that they needed, and they never had to feel depleted, and they're at their natural weight, and they can actually just go and perform.
Right.
My theory is you will see a lot of amazing performances out of
I believe you. I believe it. That's you just shed some light. Like I just imagine like somebody putting back on 25 pounds, being like boom, 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 time to fight. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. Wow. Oh my God. So go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, because just like with a lot of things, you notice in our history that things that people say, oh, try this method or eat this, and then years down the line you find out that it actually wasn't good for your body, you know, because it had these complications. Like, I don't want to see the complications that, you know, the things that occurred later down the line from all these fighters who did this wear on their body to make weight and whatnot in the sport, you know?
Yeah, like it was. This is going the opposite direction, but oh my God, I can't remember his name. The dude who used to say, "I command you to grow." The bodybuilder dude. I command you to grow. He's out in California. Oh my God, he's an older dude. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I've heard his voice.
Yeah. So he was saying, like, back in the day there was no information, but he was just like, I would go eat fast food, put all this stuff in my body. He was eating. He said he would eat like so many McDonald's burgers every day, but that was to get big because he wanted more weight. But all the stuff he put in his body messed his heart up, messed his, like, he is so like, and this is someone who was just constantly working out, trying to build and build. And it's just like all that stuff he was putting into him was just so incorrect. Like, oh my gosh, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? So let's talk now on just gym wise. It's everywhere. I know it's a big deal. Every time I have an opportunity to sit down with a female fighter, I think it's important to ask and just talk about sexism in general. Like, this is something that's like, it's going to be standard because people don't understand respect. But it's one of those things where it's just like, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. How has gym cultures been, even with visiting people at your gym, not people who was a part of your gym, but like even if somebody comes to visit your gym or stuff that you've seen in the industry, if you went to a fight, what's your thing on just in general with this, what I would call a ridiculous clash of female versus male fighters, if that makes sense?
I think what I think I hear when I think about what you said, I think about, like, not just even in the gym, but even in the workplace. You know, when you're a woman working in a predominantly male field, there's always that vibe of, like, you feel like you're in a man's world, you know. And for me, I've already felt like a minority, being black, being African American.
Double minority, woman and black, right, yeah.
Already that, you know, that feeling of, you know, you're feeling like the only one. So if you're in a place where you don't have that support of also other female fighters, it can be really hard, you know, because you're like on the outskirts. You're in a marginalized group, and so how you cope with how you exist in that world is, you know, really plays a lot into, you know, your how you feel in your house. I triple it all the way down to successfulness, because that goes into like mental health and just like your mentality coming into the sport. You know, that's that you have to think about and worry about in your day already, aside of the grit that you're gonna have to bring into that workout. You know, that top of it. I literally had this argument with one of my teammates, and I was like, look, I know that me and you weigh the same. However, when you grab my wrist, it's not the same as when I grab your wrist.
Right, right.
So much harder to like break that. That's just like a physical thing. And then, but the feeling of, I don't even feel, part of me, like, I feel hesitant to even have to say that, because then it's like, oh, you're just making excuses.
Right.
And it's like, so then it's like that feeling of silence in a way.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to speak this to, you know, a male who don't know what my experience is, because he can't, because you're not a woman.
Right.
But that's where it's always great to have, you know, other women and other people who are also, you know, there in that same little pool with you to have those moments to talk that through with.
What would you recommend to a lady who is thinking about getting into combative sports, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling, whatever? What would you recommend and tell them as a piece of advice? Like, what would you tell your younger you? What would you say? And what would you say, this is what I want you to have so you can keep this with you at all times?
Well, I think first of all, it's always amazing to be a trailblazer, to be a trendsetter, to be the first
Yeah.
something. You know, being the only one is not a bad thing. You know, being in a part of a small group is not a bad thing either. You know, you develop a lot thicker skin because of all the extra adversity that you go through. But you know what? It doesn't hinder you. It makes you stronger.
Ooh, talk about it. I'm sorry, I got excited. I'm sorry. Keep going, keep going.
You know, it's so like just every social injustice. Every group, everyone has their vices, and if you're a woman, you have that on your back too. If you're part of a minority group, you have that. There's this adversity. There's always going to be people who only see things from their vision, and
Yeah.
you remember that what your opinion doesn't truly matter as to what my vision embodies for me, and having that in mind and sticking true to it. But honestly, I really just think that like get in there, do what you want to do, but also make sure that you have a support system. I
Yeah,
think
that's real.
I think because internalizing it with yourself um, can be really hard, because you're going to have those trying moments and those situations that really make you feel like you sway away from your inner beliefs. But having people that are around you that support you, and just to know that you're not alone in it,
Yeah, yeah.
because when you're traveling on the road to something that, on the road, that whole little quote or whatever, uh, the road not taken or whatever, there's always going to be challenges when you're creating a new path,
That's
you know?
so true. Yep. You're building the bridge. You're
Yeah,
building the bridge. You're doing that so they can go past and they ain't got to deal with the rough terrain. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You're building that bridge.
But the
That's
other thing though about it though, and is all of the other women that look and see you are inspired. Like they need to see that. This just the way that we want representation. Like culturally, we want to see you see someone like
yeah.
whatever. It has that same impact in everything in sports. You want to see somebody like you. So if there's no one there like you, go be that person to also, start that whole stampede.
Woo! Say it again. That's a nugget. If there's no one like you in that sport, go be that person. I'm sorry, I had to say it myself. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's real. Say it one more time. I need to hear you say it. That's real, though. That's so real.
You know what I'm saying? If there's no one like you there, go be that person. We always need that first, and be like those little quotes that we hear. I'm a believer in now. Like all of those things have been like really ringing true to me. I'm starting to really feel the truth and like be the change you used to see. Like you literally truly have to do that. Don't gripe about it no more. Don't talk about it no more. What can we do? What actions can you make to actually make that change happen?
Yeah.
Like just do it. So I was like the whole Nike just do it, like just do it, man.
Just do it. Just do it. So next, I just need to know because I feel like it's extremely important. What is your ultimate goal? What's the goals you set for 20? Clearly, you've already hit one goal. You said, I've never been out of the state. I want to go out of state. I've never said I'm going to do something different. You've done that something different now. What's your goals for 2020? Anything other than getting that win? Get that win real quick. We know that one's coming. But what's the big goals? What's the next goal you got?
Man, I really feel like this next year is gonna pop. Training. I'm looking forward to getting a few more fights this next year and be ready to fall into something a lot bigger.
All right. I love it. I love it.
I
Speaking
mean,
into existence. I love it.
like I'm gonna fall into something bigger. I'm going to get better every day. Every day that I show up to train, every day it happens just naturally. You show up and you have the mind ready for it. I'm ready to like actually, what's the way? I'm actually there's it's like this whole evolution of myself as an artist. MMA, mixed martial artist. You're an artist. When you like when you take all the paints and all of the materials and things that you need, and you finally put it together, and you paint something that's like a true representation of yourself, like that's what I'm inspiring to do.
Yeah.
And to get to that point to where I'm creating things that represents me, and every time after that, it gets better and it continues to evolve and to grow. And aside of that, also wanted to do the other things that I'm passionate about and be an advocate for those things.
Is like I know they say this a lot where they say like you should always like find a hobby, find something that you can do that you can stay healthy, like working out. But if your passion aligns with all that as well as your profession, like it can't get any better. Like literally you work out twice a day. Most people can barely get one workout in.
Yeah.
And like if you clearly you've been doing something since high school, so you clearly love physical activity. So that's something that's like amazing. Then if you can get to the point where you can get paid for it, oh my freaking God, right? Like that is like amazing times 10. So now I need to know this next. If you had one other like component, or no, let me just ask you, what are your hobbies? You have this profession. This is your profession now, which you're blessed to say you love. What do you have any hobbies? What's some other stuff that you do?
I used to complain about not being able to do the things that I like to do when I was working and training at the same time, because all I want to do is sleep. Now I've been able to actually get back into the things that I used to really enjoy doing. I like art, so I've always liked writing poetry.
What? Awesome.
I've been writing. I write a book. I write about, put that out there too, just to put that in the world, say, because I'm doing it.
I expect that book. Hopefully, I expect that book ASAP. I need to hear some updates and progress on that book. Is it already like thought out? Where you at? Where you at with the book?
I have my concept. I'm literally just pouring content into it now.
All right.
So I like all the little artsy stuff. I like to paint and stuff. I actually started playing the game again. I used to play the game. I didn't used to play the game for real. So sometimes I do that in my spare time. I like to read. I like to read books and stuff. I know it's kind of weird, but I like to read the... That's
not weird.
Okay, let me not say weird. My friend would say, I'm not like a little nerd or whatever, but I can get real deep and philosophical about some things. But I like self-help books because my whole the whole counseling and mental health thing. I'm an advocate in that, and so I really like doing that professional work for myself. Just as a person. So I've been enjoying doing that, and I love watching fights, of course.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. I showed Charles some of my artwork. It had me and him was talking about it, me and CJ, and I even brought out some of my old stuff. Like when I say I draw, I don't even know if you can see any of this stuff. Hold on, let me see if you can see.
Oh, that's dope.
Like I literally draw. Like I used to do it. Like for real. Can you see any of this?
I can see. It's a little glary, but I can see it. Oh yeah, that's. Oh nice, yeah. Ooh, you're realist.
Yeah, I do my realism, right?
Yeah, that. Oh wow, you're good. See, I'm not good like that. I'm an abstract person.
I love art though. Like I don't know what it is. Like when you can be creative, it's just like it's so freaking wonderful. Did I hear games? You play? What games were you playing? What games? What was that? Tell us that.
Oh well, let's see. I've been playing a little new UFC game, of course. Got some fighting.
I've never played it. Is it dope? I have played the old school stuff. That I want to say it was one on PS2. That was
Well,
just the original.
the last time I played video games was like in college, so I'm reteaching myself how to do some stuff. But I've been playing like reteaching myself how to play 2K because that helps me connect back to basketball. So I enjoy that. And then
All right.
I used to play Call of Duty. I haven't played that yet, but I haven't. I'm planning on playing it this winter break when I come home.
Okay. I got you. All right. So now let me. I have to put you on the spot. So every one of my episodes, I play a little trivia. Got to do the trivia for you. All right. So name for me. And let me tell you, so new listeners, I do a little trivia. It's Roy Rob's trivia for the day. Is always related to something around martial arts, animation, or gaming, and films. And now I think I want to go into films. Are you a movie person? Oh, that would be even better. I love it. That's just too challenging. Okay. We're not gonna do films. We're not gonna do films. We're gonna keep it simple. Let's do let's go straight to martial arts. Name for me. Ooh, that's so first one. Oh, you know what? I got you. I'm gonna hit you with this one. This is even more creative. You as a hoop star. I'm going basketball. I got you. It don't have to be martial arts all the time. We gonna change it up today, y'all. This is athletics. All right, we going straight hoop. Name for me three um three legends, both genders, on the back.
Ooh, you froze.
Only because am I still here?
You
You
said
still got me? Oh,
three.
yeah. Three legends. I need three both genders. So I need three guys and three ladies that have played on the Olympic team. I want to say for basketball, and the guys would be super simple, but I need the ladies to see who you got.
Uh, okay. Let's see. Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie, and what's her name? Was Cheryl Swoops? Or am
Cheryl
I-
Swoops. Hey, I knew Cheryl and I knew Lisa was gonna be super simple. The guys should be super easy. You got the guys too?
I mean, obviously in the newer age of people.
Anybody from the 21, you can do anybody. Who you got?
MJ, of course, Kobe, and LeBron.
LeBron. All right, that's fair. All right, now that we got this out the way, how do people connect with you? How do they? Because I need you to shout out when you're fighting again, and I need you to tell us how people find you and follow your journey. That is a big deal. So, number one, give me every handle.
All right. Well, I make it simple for Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, I'm the Quiet Storm MMA, and on Facebook I'm just Brittney Cloudy. And
Is it the Quiet Storm, THE, or is it DA Quiet Storm?
THE, the Quiet Storm.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect. And then just Brittney Cloudy on Facebook. And then fight. Tell us that fight, because I'm going to make sure I need to probably tell us that so that people can to know how they're going to be able to push and be excited about this upcoming fight. When is that fight coming again? This weekend coming up?
This fight is on King of the Cage 1 week from today, December 8th, next Sunday in Ontario, California at the Toyota Center. I'll be making my third professional MMA fight. Available until Saturday. I know a lot of people are from St. Louis, but man, this is the time where I need support the most when you start.
Your hand is covering something. Okay, you cut it out. Your hand was covering up. Now I can hear you again. Can you? Is it good?
Is you good now?
I think I'm good now. So look, you said something about people from St. Louis. This is the time you need to support. Go there. Do it again. One more time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I still have tickets on hand. I was saying that even though St. Louis people, I know you're not in California. Most of my followers, most people that I know right now are from St. Louis, and they're not actually physically able to come to my fight, but still being able to support me, even from the Midwest, is so helpful and so crucial because really, the bottom is where fighters need the most support. Where I need the most support, and so when you get up to the bigger promotions, is you're there, but really it's from the ground up is where, man, support is needed the most. So
So
if
true.
you wanted to buy it, support me anyhow. I have fight shirts that I'm still selling. So
I'm gonna buy one. I got you. I
so,
got you. Hopefully you got my size.
I can put in another order though. Right now I only have small and mediums left over, but
I'll buy one for the missus then. I'll get one for her. Hey, you have been a rock star. I definitely appreciate you coming to join and be a part of the movement. Enter the Last Dragon loves you and your story. We're gonna make sure we put everything in the show notes. I thank you times 10. This has been an amazing episode, and this will not be the last episode. I'm gonna be begging you to come back on, and especially I would love to do the after the fight. Like, hey, we do some stuff, some conversations. Let me know your as your story continues, if that's cool with you.
yeah, I'm down for it. I appreciate it.
100%. Appreciate you. Enter the Last Dragon, your host Roy Robb, your seafood, signing out.